Good afternoon, everyone. Today's topic
Good afternoon.
is management in spinal cord injuries. Right? So we were discussing management of spinal cord injuries. So first we discuss postural training. Right? So postural and kinesthetic sense below the level of lesion in patient with complete SCI is absent along with absence of sensitivity to touch, pain, temperature, and motor power of the trunk and the limbs. Right? So basically, management depends on condition, level of lesion, and extent of injury. Right? So below the level of lesion, what happens? There will be muscular weakness. There may be sensory loss. There will be involvement of gland bowel dysfunction. Right? And there are so many secondary impairments, right? Like postural hypotension, pressure source, heterotropic ossification, all these, right? So the development of a new postural sense is a major objective of postural training program. So before giving postural training, it is necessary to overcome postural hypotension, which is common in high level lesion, right? If lesion occurs at the higher level, postural hypotension is common. So postural hypotension occurs due to inability of blood vessels to constrict when the body rises from the horizontal to vertical position, right? It means there will be loss of vasomotor control, right? So in order to overcome the vasomotor disturbance, the patient are taught deep breathing exercises, tilting exercises in bed, frequent position change, and graduated balancing exercises. Right? So in case of postural hypotension, we teach breathing exercises, right? Then tilting exercises in the bed, frequent position change, and balancing exercises. All these we can teach to the patient to prevent postural hypotension. Right? So postural control is achieved by those muscles which have a high innervation and low distal attachment. So these muscles aid the paralyzed part by forming a bridge between paralyzed and non-paralyzed parts. For example, latissimus dorsi. So this muscle provides balance in patients with lesion below C7 level, right? So posture correction and balance is trained with the patient sitting on a pillow or low plinth, right? So the patient develops his new postural sense primarily by visual control, right? So exercises are performed in front of the mirror where the patient can see the position of limb and the body, right? So for this we use mirror so that patient can see himself in the mirror. Next point is the activities of the patient and the therapist in this position is patient seated on a pillow with feet supported on floor or low platform so that thighs are fully supported, right? Because in both the cases, quadriplegic and paraplegic patients, trunk may be involved. If the lesion occurs at the higher level, cervical level, so definitely the trunk will be involved, right? In case of paraplegia, depends on level of lesion, so trunk may be involved. So we ask the patient to sit on a pillow or a low floor platform, right? So that the thighs are fully supported and the hips, knees, and the ankles should form a right angle. So this is the position of the patient. Next is the therapist stands behind the patient and take care that the patient does not fall and damage his buttocks or legs. Right? The patient supports and he stands behind the patient. Here. So progression is made by performing movements without the aid of mirror and eventually functional activity without conscious effort. So postural and kinesthetic sense in SCI patients are usually activated by the use of tilting table, right? So we normally use tilt table in case of SCI patients. So patient is shifted to tilting table with assistance and care. The patient is properly tied to the table with the help of his straps. Then the table is shifted up gradually. So if giddiness is felt, then table is fixed in that position and deep breathing is given to the patient. So gradual progression in angle is made till the table is upright fully. Right? So this is postural training. For postural training, we can use tilt table also. Right? Next thing is care for skin and joints. Right? The patient and the therapist should be careful regarding skin and joints. So care of skin and joints in the latter phase becomes a responsibility of the patient. Right? So report to medical staff is done whenever patient suspects any sign of skin damage. Because the pressure sore is very common in this, the therapist teaches different techniques to the patient to overcome skin problems. So all the pressure points of the body are protected from the skin damage by careful observation, right? Proper positioning, avoidance of extreme temperature, and thorough inspection, right? So careful observation is very important. Proper positioning is important, and avoidance of extreme pressure and thorough inspection. Next thing is a hand mirror we can use. A hand mirror is given to the patient to inspect over sacrum and ischial tuberosities. Right? So below the bony areas, the patient can get pressure sores. So we ask the patient to use hand mirror to inspect sacrum and ischial tuberosities. So a firm base bed is used to prevent sagging of mattress, right? We can use a firm bed or we can use air bed or water bed to prevent pressure sores, right? So while sitting, regular lifts should be performed by the patient himself with the help of upper limb. Lifting allows return of circulation to the scalp, right? So in case of high level lesion, where the patient is unable to lift himself, regular lifting at different intervals should be performed by any assistance, right? In case of paraplegia, patient can lift himself, right? But in case of quadriplegia, he needs assistance. So the lift performed by the assistants is as follows. The patient sits in a wheelchair with arms folded, and the lifter stands behind the patient. So lifter puts his arms under the patient's shoulder and grips patient's forearm with his or her hand. So then a high lift is performed and maintained for 15 seconds. Right? So later on, patient is taught to relieve pressure by rolling on one-to-one buttock. Right? So we teach the technique to the patient to relieve pressure under the buttocks. Right? So patients are taught to turn themselves in the bed if the patient is bedridden and to use prone lying position to eliminate sacral pressure. Right? So we ask the patient to turn in prone lying position to eliminate sacral pressure. Yeah. Next point is training for care of hands in quadriplegics is also included. Patient should wear gloves while propelling the wheelchair because there may be a loss of sensation, right? Altered sensation may be there. So hot plate and mugs must not be placed in the hand or rested on the legs, right? Next thing is a severe spasticity always interfere in the rehab program. So with the presence of spasticity, functional activities cannot be performed independently. So the severity of spasticity in later phase always depends on the type of treatment the patient is given and the position which patient adopts in the acute phase. So we have to reduce the spasticity also. There are so many techniques we can use to reduce spasticity. Next one is pressure sores, bladder infection, contractures of soft tissues act as stimuli to trigger the spasticity. Right? If the patient is having pressure sore, bladder infection, contracture of soft tissues, it stimulates spasticity. Right? So any form of sensory stimuli to legs that may elicit spastic reflexes are avoided. So in both the cases, quadriplegia and paraplegia, spastic reflexes can be avoided to some extent by controlling the position of head and neck. Right? So the first and the foremost treatment of spasticity include removal of precipitating factors that may include pressure sores, UTI, toenails, and fractures. Right? So in the treatment procedure of spasticity, combination of following methods we can use like chemotherapy, physiotherapy, and surgery. Right? So in chemotherapy, drugs are used for the management of spasticity. Right? And these drugs are muscle relaxants and spasmolytic agents such as diazepam, right, baclofen, and dantrolene sodium. These are spasmolytic agents. Diazepam we can use, baclofen and dantrolene sodium. So baclofen acts at spinal level, right, and dantrolene sodium acts directly on the skeletal muscles. So drug therapy is not successful in managing spasticity. With prolonged use of individual drugs, patient develops tolerance against that particular drug. Right? So the other two approaches we can use to manage spasticity, one is peripheral nerve blocks and intrathecal injections. Peripheral nerve blocks and intrathecal injections can be used to reduce spasticity. Clear? So in peripheral nerve blocks, nerve supply to particular spastic muscle is interrupted by the use of chemical agents. And these agents are like local anesthetics and phenol, etc. Right? So this procedure provides a temporary relief of spasticity. Here, the next method is intrathecal approach. The injection of phenol or alcohol can be given within the spinal canal to interrupt the reflex arc mechanism. Right? So this procedure provides a more permanent relief of spasticity. So it is rarely used as it may interfere with bladder and sexual functions. Right? So in chemotherapy, we use drugs to reduce spasticity. Now we discuss surgical methods. In severe cases, spasticity is treated by the surgical approaches. So the surgical approach may be a simple orthopedic surgery or a complex neurosurgery. So a simple orthopedic surgery includes the following methods like myotomy, neurotomy, and spinotomy. Right? So in case of myotomy, in this, a part of muscle is sectioned or released. Right? So this is called myotomy. Neurotomy, this involves cutting off a part of the total nerve that comes in neurotomy. Next one is tenotomy. It is related with tendons. Surgery is done over the tendons. The common example is heel cord in case of TA tightness. That is known as tenotomy. In case of spasticity, right, we can use all these methods: myotomy, neurotomy, and tendotomy. So a complex neurosurgery is used in conditions where the spasticity is at intolerable level and inhibits the functional activities. Right? So it includes rhizotomy and myelotomy. Rhizotomy means there is a cutting of nerve root, rhizotomy. The other one is myelotomy, a cutting of spinal cord nerve fiber. Right? These procedures comes in surgery. Now we discuss physiotherapy. The physiotherapy methods to reduce spasticity. One is passive range of motion exercises, stretching, splinting we can use. Right? The physiotherapy is used to inhibition of excessive tone, giving a sensation of normal position to the patient and to make normal movement pattern more easy. Right? For this, positioning is very important. Ice therapy is important. Vibration, passive movements, passive stretching, weight bearing exercises, and self-care activities. All these things we can use to reduce spasticity. Right? So in patients with high cervical lesion at C4, C5, C6, there is need to teach self-care activities like drinking, eating, brushing, etc. These are activities of daily living, ideal. These activities are not needed to be taught in a paraplegic patients, right? Because the patient is having good power in the upper extremities, so there is no need to teach all these things to the paraplegic patients, right? So BADL and IADL are the two categories of activities of daily living. One is BADL, that is basic activities of daily living. Basic activities, one is eating, drinking, dressing, personal hygiene maintenance, all these comes, right? So first we discuss eating and drinking. This is taught to the patient with cervical cord lesion. It is difficult to teach the patient with lesion at the C4 because these patients have no muscle power in the upper limb. If lesion occurs at the level of C4, there will be no power in the upper extremities, right? Because these deltoids are supplied by the C4 nerves, right? So it can be taught to the patient with lesion at the C5 because they have functioning deltoid and biceps, but no control at the wrist. So we can teach these activities to the patient of injury at the C5 level because they have good deltoid and biceps, right? So to teach eating, adopted crockery and splints are used according to the level of lesion. The management always depends on the level of lesion, right? So if lesion is at C5, then a light cock-up splint with a slot in a palmar surface to hold a spoon is used, right? So to control the wrist movement, we can use a splint, that is cock-up splint. So practice of eating is given to the patient with the help of above modification, right? So if the fingers are not moving, we can use a splint, right? So with the help of a splint, we can use spoon for eating. And if lesion occurs at the C6 level, patient holds the spoon and fork initially using a strap, but later on a strap is discarded, right? And the spoon is held by balancing it over the thumb and against the palm of the hand or over the little finger, right? So all these depends on level of lesion, where the lesion is. So drinking difficulties are overcome by using lightweight, partially filled cup or mug, right? So we can modify the utensils also. If handles of a cup or mug are thin or slippery, and if patient has a weak grip power, then a lightweight cup with a large handle is used, right? So we can use light cups with large handle to hold the cup easily, right? Next one is dressing, ability to wear clothes and masking appearance presentable and pleasing to ourselves and others. Different skills are required, such as balancing, coordination, joint mobility, strength, and dexterity. Right? The dressing techniques are taught as soon as spine is stable. Right? So clothes used should be loose and fitting, and should have zips and Velcro fastenings. Right? So if the patient is not having any power in the fingers, right, or less power in the fingers, and there is less grip, we can use fasteners and zip, right, in place of buttons, right, and the clothes should be loose in fitting. So dressing ability of the patient depends on the level of lesion. The patient having lesion at the C4 or C5 are unable to dress their lower limbs, right? So the upper limb dressing for these patients is also a difficult job because the lesion occurs C4 and C5 level. So whenever the patient with lower spinal lesion may achieve total dressing. In case of paraplegia, patient can achieve total dressing. So dressing procedure taught to the patient involves moving the garment over the body or moving the body inside the garment. These are the two techniques or two actions, right? So next one is personal hygiene. So total management is one of the most difficult aspects of self-care in quadriplegic and paraplegic patients. So non-slippery flooring, gentle ramps, and shallow steps are essential, right? So washing, bathing is another area of personal hygiene. For a patient with quadriplegia, it is not possible to wash himself, and therefore assistance is required, right? So some trick movements to clean body are taught to the patient, such as patient can use their forearm to soap their body. Long handled sponges, brushes can be used, right? So for cleaning the teeth, toothbrush is fitted in the strap of the splint. Mouth is used to squeeze the toothpaste, right? So all these depends on the level of lesion. Next thing is extending exercises for the upper limbs. You can use muscles of upper limb are given strengthening exercises to build up their power in paraplegia, right? So in case of quadriplegia, strengthening exercises are given to the spared muscles of upper limb, right? So strengthening exercises are given by providing resistance either manually or by weight and pulley, right? So patient in supine lying and lift weights held in the hand in a forward direction, right? So we can strengthen the spared muscles in case of quadriparesis. There are two terms. One is quadriplegia, and the other term is quadriparesis. If there is weakness, that is known as quadriparesis, right? If there is complete loss of motor function, that means that is quadriplegia. Next thing is the mat activities. Mat activities are one of the most important part of rehabilitation program in case of SCI patients. So mat activities are included in the treatment program as soon as weight bearing to the spine is permitted. So mat activities are given to facilitate balance, number one. Number two is promote stability. Number three is mobilize and strengthen the trunk and the limbs. The next one is trains for functional activities, right? So to achieve the desired effect of treatment program, MAC activities should be sequenced from easier to difficult and progression through the sequence, right? So the type of MAT activity given to the patient is determined by the therapist on the basis of level of lesion and the medical status of the patient. So the limit to which an activity can be performed and time taken to learn, it depends on the ability of the patient, right? So what is the role of therapist in MAT activities? The therapist works hard to improve timing and speed of the patient, right? So different activities should be taught to the patient in mat, like rolling, activities on thrown on elbows, right? Thrown on hands, supine on elbows, pull-ups, sittings, all these, right? Position of monkey pole and lifting, right? So now we discuss mat activities. In this, we have rolling. So for rolling to be effective, patient is required to learn to move the head, neck, upper limb, lower limb, and trunk in a balanced manner, right? So rolling is needed to improve bed mobility and to change position independently. So initially the rolling is taught to patient in mat, right? But afterwards the patient gets confidence to perform it over the bed. Mat activities should be given on the mat, right? So now we take a 5 minutes break, then we start, right? So if you have any doubt, you can ask. कुछ पूछना चाहते हैं? सत्यम, ममता, रूपाली, सौरभ, अनुपमा, सुफियान, संध्या. Okay, fine.